Hello, BookTube. I wanted to do a book haul. I went out yesterday after doing a few projects and went book hunting and had some luck. It's sort of a varied selection of stuff, but some really good things. I went to a thrift store, I went to a chain store, and I went to my local comic shop looking for something, but it wasn't there yet. But yeah, we did well, so I thought I'd share it with you. And the first thing, I've been building up my library of sports books, baseball books in particular, and this is Pedro Martinez and Michael Silverman. It's called Pedro. This is the story of his storied life and career. A world champion and a Cy Young winner and all around fierce competitor. And someone I enjoyed watching for many, many years. This came out in 2015, Houghton Mifflin Harcourt out of Boston and New York. So yeah, glad to have that. This next one is something I know nothing about. Nagging in the back of my head is maybe I saw Steve do a mail haul with this ages ago, I think. So I'm wondering if that's the case, if he's already discussed this quite a while ago. But anyhow, it's called The King's Revenge, Charles II and the Greatest Manhunt in British History by Don Jordan and Michael Walsh. So it's a history. It is a Pegasus book out of New York, and this came out in 2016. And I'm sure, and maybe it was somebody else who hauled it, but it just sticking in my mind. So let's get the little center section with the looks like mostly black and white illustrations, which is fine. When Charles I was executed in 1649, his 19-year-old son Charles II made it his mission to seek revenge for his father's death. From exile, Charles II instigated what would become the biggest manhunt the nation had ever seen, spreading out across Europe and America and lasting for over 30 years. Then, when he ascended to the throne himself in 1660, Charles II intensified the search, which showed trials in London and assassination squads scouring foreign countries. As a result of this bloodthirsty quest, many of the most senior figures in England were hanged, drawn, and quartered. Others were imprisoned for life, while still more were consigned to self-imposed exile, in constant fear of the assassin's bullet. Among these men were exceptional characters, including John Milton, poetic genius and political propagandist, Oliver Cromwell's steely son-in-law, Henry Ireton, and the errant son of an earl, Algernon Sidney, whose writing helped inspire the founders of the American Revolution. Even Cromwell himself was subjected to a bizarre system of revenge when, though long dead, his body was disinterred and beheaded. Set in an age of intrigue and betrayal, in what age isn't, The King's Revenge brings these remarkable figures vividly to life in an engrossing tale of ambition, espionage, and double agents. It sounds good. I swear I've heard of this before, but who knows? And then just another copy of this, because I know somebody who wants it. It's Founding Brothers, A Revolutionary Generation by Joseph J. Ellis. Well-known historian, very well-known book. I already have a copy, but like I said, I got this for somebody else. And it's out from New York, 2001. And let me just say here, you have a study of the intertwined lives of the founders of the American Republic: John Adams, Aaron Burr, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and George Washington. During the 1790s, which Ellis calls the most decisive decade in our nation's history, the greatest statements of their generation, and perhaps any, came together to define the new republic and direct its course for coming centuries. So very, very good book if you like history and you haven't gotten to this. Yeah, it's a good read. On a similar note, and again one I think I saw on Steve's channel, And this one I have not read, and this one is for me. This is Friends Divided, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. We got it on a bargain bin. It's by Gordon S. Wood, another great writer. My wife actually found this in the bargain bin, so I left the sticker on for now just so you can see it. And this is an autographed copy, and we got it for there. Thrilled to have it. Like I say, it's one that's been on my radar for a while. There's the signature right there. And when I've read biographies of Adams, I've read biographies of Jefferson, multi-volume works on each of them. I've read a lot about each of them, but this book, number one, because of the author and the subject matter, is one I really wanted. So this is Penguin Press, New York, 2017. So a really nice volume to have. Then another thing's a little warped, and what I'll do is I'll buy books on it for a while and just straighten it right out. This is Of America, East and West, selection from the writings of Paul Horgan with an introduction by Henry Steele Commager. There's the author. I like Horgan. I loved his History of the Rio Grande. I have a single volume edition. I've seen the 2-volume edition. I think it was a box set. But I really like his history. And this has selections. So here's the title page, so you can take a look at that. And when did this come out? Well, they got, this is 1984, first printing. Under history, it has the Great River, the Rio Grande in North American history. I'll have like the prologue, Stuff of Life, the Spanish in the Rio Grande, and a few other sections. Then there's biography, Citizens of New Salem. Then the Lamy of Santa Fe, His Life and Times. I've seen that when I lived out in New Mexico for quite a while, and I never read it and never picked it up, and I would really like to. Encounters with Stravinsky, I have that volume here. It has a section under that. Notebook pages and an essay, so he has approaches to writing and a preface to an unwritten book. Under short story, he has something called The Peachstone. Under novels, they got little selections from the novels. They got No Quarter Given from the Rose Arbor. A Distant, or maybe the Rose Arbor is the chapter. So it's No Quarter Given, Distant Trumpet, the Richard novels, which are The Things as They Are, Everything to Live For, and The Thin Mountain Air. And then there's Far from Cibola. So I'm excited to have this. I like him. I have not read much of his novels. I read his nonfiction works. Like I say, I have the Stravinsky. I get the Rio Grande volume. So glad to have this, and I'll dip in and out of that. The next thing here is Pioneers of France and the New World by Francis Parkman. I have this. I have the 2-volume Library of America set, which includes this in it. But I got this because of who the introduction is by, and it's by Colin G. Calloway, a magnificent historian, still working. Very focused on the lives of the native populations and how the Revolutionary War impacted them. Or he did a pretty devastating critique of George Washington in his most recent book, and how he treated slaves and native peoples. He's written a lot about my own little area of the world, and I believe right now he's teaching at Dartmouth College, which is right up the road here. But I got this for his introduction, and I was happy to find it. I didn't know he had done it. I'm not surprised he did an introduction to this, but we'll see how it is. I mean, the introduction would have the potential to be devastating in a way, right? Parkman was a product of his time, brilliant historian, but he would have been looking through the lens that maybe potentially Calloway would maybe have problems with. But I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything. I mean, I'm going to read it, but that's what made me wonder and want this. And because Calloway has a reputation for not glossing anything over, let's say. When he sees something that isn't right, he's pretty quick to point it out with documentation. So it could be exciting. Then this next one, I was glad to find it. I watched Steve Donahue and Tom L.A. Books the other day, had a thing on Steve's channel. And I've been following Tom all the way through. I've just finished the Inferno and have been using his videos to help me along, and they're fantastic. I also saw Tom on Noah's channel, Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse, discussing Tom's forays into comic books. So he's a wide-ranging intellect, let's just put it this way. And he mentioned on one of those events Primo Levi. And I have, obviously I'm going to be, let me try some Primo Levi. And this showed up. It's called If Not Now, When? It's translated by William Weaver. It has an introduction by Irving Howe. It is a novel. Who put this out? Let me see. This is Summit Books out of New York. And this is, where did they put the date on this? 1985 is the translation and the introduction. So I'm guessing this is 1985. An often fierce and exciting story. It speeds along with the accumulating energy, even suspense, right, Irving Howe, in his introduction to this gripping novel about the Jews who fought back during the Holocaust. So this, I'm glad to find. I've heard this author's name many, many times, and I'm excited to read this. This is going on quite a bit, but I got quite a few books, so almost done here. So I have John Boardman, a couple of his books, and I found two here that I'm really thrilled to have. This one is Greek Sculpture of the Archaic Period, and it's these World of Art volumes. They're Timms and Hudson, and they tend to be really well illustrated, well thought out. They're used in colleges a lot in undergrad courses. And then, so that was the Archaic Period. So when did this come out? This came out in 1978. And then also the same thing, Greek Sculpture, but this case, the Classic Period. And again, John Boardman, Timms and Hudson, World of Art. And this one came out when? So the other one was 78, is that what I said? This was 85. And again, illustrated. A lot of text, but I can find sections with. So I'm happy to have both of these. And I've got a lot of books in this series. Unfortunately, right next to these was one on African art, and I was very excited to find. But the thing with these, if you're going to find them used like I did, always go through them, because this African art one was underlined in pen, red pen, and pretty hard, so it was dented and all that. So unfortunately, I'm not going to take it, even though these were like 75 cents a piece. But I'll keep an eye out for it. I'd like to finish or get as many of these as I can. Then a great find. And I thought of Sean D. Stanfast when I got this, and I found out later on Instagram that he knows the book very well, which is no surprise to me. I have the companion volume to this. This is The Greek Stones Speak. It's a Norton book. And I have The Mute Stones Speak, which is archaeology in Italy. This is obviously archaeology in Greece. And just really, when I was starting out in archaeology, this book just fired my imagination. It's just beautifully done. Here's some maps. It probably is a bit dated. It won't have the newest stuff, obviously. American Historical Review said, a brilliant picture in the activity of the renowned centers of the Hellenic world. period by period, together with striking views of the working of modern excavations. An excellent story of Greek achievement. This is really, really good. Like I say, it's not going to have the latest ideas, and it's not going to have the results of the latest digs, okay? Archaeological digs. But it's still a wonderful book. It had a big impact on me. I haven't had a copy in years, and it's going to go on my shelf, and I'll pick it up and go through it every once in a while. And I'm just so glad to have it. It made my day. Made my day. It's that good. And then the final thing I got was boy, this is really going on. This is it. The final thing I got is the newest issue of Analog Science Fiction and Fact. This is May, June 2021. It's one of these digest science fiction magazines you see on here quite a bit. Dangerous Orbit by M.T. Wrighton is the lead story here. So it's an author I don't know. And this is why I get these, because I'm trying to get back into knowing who the authors are and all the exciting things going on. We have novelettes, Longevity Averaging by Neil Asher, Dancing on Spun Sugar by Megan Feldman, and The Summoner's Apprentice by Tessa Fisher, and tons of short stories. I'm not going to go through them all because this has already gone on long enough. I guess I could hold up the... There, you can always pause it if you wanted to look and see what was what. So I love the digest magazines. I got piled on. You can't see them because they're out of the frame. And enjoy reading them. So I hope everyone's doing well. It's a little chilly here, a little overcast, but we've been fortunate with a nice spring, so you're not going to get any complaints from me. And we needed the rain. We had rain this weekend, and we needed it. We had snow. So, yeah, April. All right, well, thank you all, and have a good week.